Hi friends and welcome back. Today's lesson is all about representing non-unit fractions as a whole number times a unit fraction. Before we begin our work today, I'd like us to do a quick fluency warm-up. Are you ready? Let's think. What is 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square? That equals 3 squares. What is 3 copies of 1 square? That also equals 3 squares. What is 110 plus 110 plus 110? 3 tens. Or 30. What's 3 copies of 110? Again, it's 3 tens or 30. You'll see that even though the units have changed, the numbers remain the same. This idea still applies to fractions too. Watch. What's 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4? That equals 3/4. What is 3 copies of 1/4? 3/4. I want you to keep this idea in mind as we proceed with today's lesson. What fraction is represented by the shaded part? 3/4. Think, how can we say 3/4 decomposed as a sum of unit fractions? 3/4 equals 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. How many fourths are there in 3/4? There are 3. We know this because we can count the 1/4 3 times. How might we express this using multiplication? Well, we have 3/4. That's 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. That's 3 groups of 1/4. So we can multiply. We can write 3/4 equals 3 times 1/4. If we want to add the same fraction of a certain amount many times, instead of adding, we can multiply. So what's 3 copies of 1/4? That's 3/4, just like our diagram shows. Take a look at this diagram here. On your paper, draw a tape diagram just like mine. What fraction is represented by the shaded part? 2/3. I'd like you to pause the video here and write a number sentence that decomposes 2/3 as a sum of unit fractions. Then, below that number sentence, write a multiplication sentence to go alongside our diagram. I'll be here when you get back. Welcome back. Let's say our addition sentence and multiplication sentence together. 2/3 equals 1/3 plus 1/3. 2/3 equals 2 times 1/3. Great work. What fractional unit does this tape diagram show? We can see that there are 10 parts shaded in. So maybe you're thinking it shows tenths. But look here. We identify 1 here. How many units is 1 partitioned into? Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The bracketed portion of this tape diagram shows 8 fractional units. What is the total number of eighths shaded in? 10. So, what is this fraction? 10/8. We're going to say this now as an addition sentence. Please follow my fingers so we can keep track of the number of units as we say them. 10/8 equals 1/8 plus 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 1/8. Think, how many eighths are there in 10/8? There are 10/8. So how can we write this as a multiplication sentence? 10/8 equals 10 times 1/8. What are the advantages of multiplying fractions instead of adding them? We can see it's easier to write. It's much faster. It's much more efficient. We just expressed 10/8 as a repeated addition sentence as well as a multiplication sentence. And we learned that a fraction greater than 1 can be renamed as a whole number and a fraction. Let's think. How many eighths make 1? 8/8 make 1. Let's put parentheses around 8/8 so that we can show 1. And how many eighths do we still have here? 2/8. How can we show 10/8 as a multiplication sentence again, but this time show 1 and 2 more eighths? We could write 10/8 equals, open parentheses, 8 times 1/8, close parentheses, plus, open parentheses, 2 times 1/8, close parentheses. Now it's your turn. On your paper, we're going to draw a tape diagram to show 5/3. How might we do that? We can start by drawing a long rectangle, just like this. And we're going to break it into 5 parts. And we're going to try to make those 5 parts as equal as we possibly can. What I like to do, because 5 is an odd number, I don't split it right down in half. I split it where this one is going to be larger than the second part. I then take the larger part and split it into thirds. And then this part I split in half. And now I have 5 parts that are as equal as I can possibly make it. Now each part represents 1/3. So I'm going to bracket 3/3 to show 1. Next, I'm going to shade in all 5 parts. Go ahead and pause the video here to draw this same diagram on your paper now. I'll be here when you return. Welcome back. So again, what fraction is being represented here? 5/3. How can we express 5/3 as a repeated addition sentence? Write it with me now. 5/3 equals 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. Now, as a multiplication sentence, well, we have 5/3. That equals 5 times 1/3. Is there another way that we can express 5/3 using multiplication? Go ahead and pause the video here and write another multiplication sentence that expresses 5/3. We'll compare our work afterwards. Welcome back. What did you come up with? Here's mine. 5/3 equals, open parentheses, 3 times 1/3, close parentheses, plus, open parentheses, 2 times 1/3, close parentheses. It's fun to use multiplication and addition to decompose fractions. For today's assignment, your must-do problems are here on the screen. Go ahead and set a timer or watch the clock for 10 minutes to complete this work. I'll be here when you return.